Another Tesla Cybertruck competitor makes its debut. This time it's an all-electric truck from the Lordstown Motors that will be made at a former GM factory. I talked to their CEO, Steve Burns, and later Inside EV's contributor Tom Moloughney will give us his very unique take on it. All of this while Rivian posts a video of its latest prototype testing. Tesla wins the JD Powers Award, but not the good kind. Eli Burton of My Tesla Adventure will be here to talk about that. Burger King makes a funny ad out of a Tesla autopilot bug. You gotta see this one. Elon Musk suggests that Cybertruck may actually do this. We get a preview of Cadillac's electric car that will premiere in a few weeks. Jay Leno reviews Model Y YouTuber style. That's right. Welcome to the family, Jay, and many other electric car news coming up next. Welcome to E4Electric, your number one source of electric car scoop. If this is your first time here and you are interested in everything that's going on in the world of electric cars, just go ahead and click the subscribe button and the bell notification icon so you don't miss anything moving forward. All right, let's talk about the premiere of the all-electric pickup truck called Endurance from the Lordstown Motors. Now, if you've never heard of this company, they're relatively new, but also not very new because they're a partial spin-off from the Workhorse, the company that actually premiered a plug-in hybrid electric pickup truck a couple of years ago, if you remember my report from CES Vegas. Unfortunately, that truck never materialized. However, some of its IP was used in development of the Endurance truck. If you remember, Lordstown Motors took over the GM factory where they used to make Chevy Cruze. It was a big politicized deal. That's why the Vice President Mike Pence was at the unveiling of the Endurance. Right before the unveiling, I spoke with the Lordstown Motors CEO, Steve Burns, who was on this show a couple of years ago as the CEO of Workhorse at that time. All right, Steve, it's been a while since you were on my show, but you're back, and we're talking about an all-electric pickup truck, which has been a thing lately. Now, I'm sure you're aware there's a Cybertruck and Rivian and so forth. Tell us a little bit about what is so unique about yours.
Yeah, you're right. It is suddenly a very hot space, right? Obviously, we started years ago, but it's come to be kind of the hottest sector, and we have a lane to ourselves. I think that's what's different, right? I mean, the mechanics of our truck, it's a hub motor truck. It's the first hub motor production vehicle ever made. So the mechanics inside are quite different than any other electric vehicle. But the lane that we're positioning it in, like you mentioned, Rivian, I think they are a mid-size truck. We're a full-size truck. Ours is geared to commercial work truck users, commercial fleets. I think theirs is a luxury adventure vehicle is the market they're going after. The Cybertruck, I'm not sure what market that's after, but I don't think it's after, your average landscaper or delivery person. So again, we think our lane is clear, and essentially we have a 75 mile per gallon pickup truck. I mean, that's how radical it is. I think everybody knows pickup trucks get 16 or 17 miles per gallon. That's after 50 years of refinement.
All right, fair enough. And I know you mentioned that this truck is going to be geared towards sort of the commercial type of a customer. Can you tell us a little bit about the interest that you have so far, and if you have any orders or deposits that you already got from either private parties or other businesses?
We're going to announce at the conference some specifics around this, but we already have our first year spoken for. So even without showing the vehicle, normally you don't start taking pre-orders or orders until you show it. But pent-up demand was such that we started doing it early, and we already have our 20,000. Our first year of production is to be 20,000. We already have that spoken for. We haven't even showed it yet.
Yeah, I was going to say, so is that from one particular customer? Is it from the business customer, or these are all just private parties?
They're all business customers. We have, I think, we have orders for, we have an order for 2,000 in one shot, 500s, 1,000. I think we announced 900 something from ServPro the other day. So they're pretty big chunks coming in. I mean, but there is a landscaper with 3 trucks coming in on the website as well.
Okay. Are these paid reservations? Do you guys take deposits, or these are just kind of like for now, they're just putting themselves on the list?
Yeah, well, I think what we're going to do, since we're filled, and we're going to announce our first order, right? So we feel it's fair to start taking orders now as opposed to pre-orders now that we have the drivable prototype. So we're gonna announce our first order, and those come with the appropriate, all the things that come with an order.
This truck will start at $52,500, which after the tax incentive will become $45,000. It will have 4 in-wheel hub motors, the range of over 250 miles. It will be a 5-seater with a towing capacity of 7,500 pounds, 600 horsepower with a top speed of 80 miles an hour, and 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds. Now let's bring in Inside EV's contributor Tom Moloughney to talk about the unveiling itself and the future of the Endurance. All right, Tom, you've seen the presentation. We have some new information. What are your thoughts about the actual unveiling event?
Well, I went to it really hoping that I would get some new knowledge and a better understanding of where they're coming from and where they're going, and some specs on the vehicle, a little bit more, but we didn't really get anything. I mean, about the only thing we learned is I think that they're going to be making 30 of these by the end of the year. Not a lot was learned, Alex. It looked a lot more like a political stump than an electric vehicle unveiling, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree. It really did. But all right, so not the best unveiling. And yes, I agree. I wish would have had more information. But they are out now. They looks like they're gonna make those. At least they're planning on making those prototypes. They do have the factory. What are your thoughts about them claiming that they're going in production in about a year? Do you think they're realistic, or do you think this is a viable company?
Well, I hope they're realistic. It's hard for me to grasp that, though, to be honest with you, because they just made their first working prototype. So then within 6 months, they say they're going to have 30 test vehicles, beta and alpha test vehicles. And then 6 months later, they go to market. I mean, just take a look at what other companies like Rivian, for instance, how long they've been testing their alpha units. That's an incredibly tight timeline. More power to them if they can do it. But personally, I don't know how they're actually delivering cars to customers in about a year, which is what they're projecting at this time.
Okay, yeah. So even with that, so let's say they even might be late, which I think both of us kind of agree that is a very aggressive timeline. Though we have been surprised before, but do you think they will ever go to production? I mean, they're a young company, they're just starting out, they're behind, other companies like you mentioned, Rivian. Do you think this company will deliver their first truck at some point to customers?
Well, I hope so. And I hope so because they're actually filling a niche here. This is a work truck, and nobody else is making a specific electric vehicle work truck. So they have a lane. They have definitely, a space where they can do well if they can build a truck that works, that's tough for commercial use, and comes in the right price and specifications. If they can, it'll do well. It's just they're a young company and very aggressive timelines. It's hard for me to see them fulfilling those timelines. I hope they bring the vehicle to market. We need a little bit more time to see whether or not this is going to actually play out the way they're explaining it.
Don't forget to subscribe to Tom's new channel. I put the link in the description of this video. Meanwhile, Rivian, another competitor to the Cybertruck and now the Endurance, has posted a new video the same day as the unveiling. Coincidence, right? But the video was of the stress testing of their prototype in the Arizona desert. This is the first time the top story did not actually involve Tesla, but don't worry, there are plenty of Tesla stories coming up, including the next one. Before that, a quick reminder that this video and this channel is sponsored by Evanex, the Tesla community's accessory store. Use E4Electric, the name of this channel, as a discount code for all of your purchases over $100. All right, let's get to our first Tesla story, and this is not the one that Tesla is probably very proud of because Tesla has topped the list, or really was at the bottom of the list of the latest JD Power quality study, where they study the issues that new owners have with their vehicles in the first 90 days. This study has been around for about 34 years, and this is where they try to figure out how many problems does each brand have with their new vehicles per 100 units, and they do so by surveying the customers. As I mentioned, Tesla was at the bottom of that list with 250 problems per 100 cars, so I guess the Tesla owners have 99 problems, and apparently quality is all of them. For more, I turn to our contributor, Eli Burton, of My Tesla Adventure. All right, Eli, so we see the numbers, and what do you make of this? Is this a surprise?
So my initial reaction to the reporting of the reporting was surprised, because all the mainstream media news headlines were basically that JD Power ranks Tesla last in quality. But then I actually looked into it, and it's like, okay, this isn't exactly what I thought. And basically what JD Power does is they give this like 200 and something question thing to customers and ask them to rate whether there are things wrong, or issues or glitches or different things like that. And Tesla had about a score of about 250 per 100 cars. So it's like 2.5 issues. But what was even more surprising is even the winner of this survey had 136 issues per 100 cars produced.
And it was a Dodge on top of that. All right, so, but, you're part of the community, and, you see how many issues people are having. And it did look like Model Y was actually doing well at first, and now there are a lot of issues reported. Does this match to reality that you see?
So one of the things we have to keep in mind too, in the way they measure, and I kind of looked more in depth of how they look at these issues, and the way it works is in their own reporting is that cars that have more advanced technology, luxury, voice recognition, autopilot, self-driving features tend to result in people reporting more issues, because there's more advanced technology and more things for a person to either not understand, not go wrong, not work immediately the first time, that it really kind of skews against higher end luxury cars. Like the other bottom rated cars, according to this survey, are Jaguar, Mercedes, Volvo, Audi, and the like. But I would say that in general, like, it is kind of way out of touch with what's happening. Yeah, Model Y has had some quality build issues on their re-ramp up since COVID. They didn't have the issues on the original ramp, but clearly they're having some issues as they re-ramp up post-COVID. And they're going to get those worked out. I mean, early Model 3s had issues. They've gotten those resolved, and it's one of the best build quality vehicles Tesla's ever done. So I would say in general, the idea that Tesla has the worst build quality out there does not align with people's experiences.
All right, but the paint quality issue with Model Y, it just came with cars that were before the ramp up, and Tesla actually had to issue some of the repair kits or protection kits. Okay, and at the same time, I do want to mention that, like, for example, Lexus and Cadillac, one of the couple of luxury brands that are still kind of closer to the top. Now, the other thing that jumped at me also is that, in 15 states where Tesla has to give permission to JD Power to do the survey, Tesla was the only manufacturer that refused. And obviously that kind of gives you an impression that, are they hiding something? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the truth is, because there's still 30 other states and there's so many people out there, if Tesla was having issues with these cars, they wouldn't be able to hide it in just the 15 states. So no, it has no impact on the data, which is actually what JD Power reported, that they weren't able to get data from those states, but it did have no impact on what they consider the reliability of their survey. I don't know the history of why Tesla said no. My best guess is JD Power did some hit pieces on Tesla in the past, and as a result, Tesla's not willing to work with them, but I don't know that for certain, and I'm just speculating.
Don't forget that Eli is also the creator of the Adventures of the Starman. You can pick up your own copy, even a signed copy, using the link in the description of this video. Now let's talk about the Burger King. That's right, Burger King has capitalized on the video posted by one of the Tesla drivers where the car mistook the Burger King sign for a stop sign and started to brake for it. The video said that the smart cars are smart enough to brake for a Whopper. Very cute and creative, and actually if you reposted that video last week, you also had a chance to get a free Whopper. Now, it's all fun and games, except for we should probably acknowledge that this is a pretty big failure of the current version of the full self-driving software, because the logo of the Burger King looks nothing like a stop sign. Now, there is a theory that this wasn't really a failure of the visual recognition of that software. This was probably due to a GPS data error, but I'm hoping Tesla is going to investigate this and fix this as soon as possible. Coincidentally, Tesla and Burger King have something in common because Burger King features an Impossible Burger created by Impossible Foods on their menu. Now, it has a vegetarian patty, which is extremely delicious and does taste like real meat. If you've never tried it, I strongly recommend. And as you probably know, the vegetarian movement and the electric car movement are very much in the same boat because we're both fighting against the climate change. As a matter of fact, the CEO of Impossible Foods, the maker of the Impossible Burger patty, Patrick Brown, does drive an electric car.
And you yourself drive an electric car.
Yeah, of course I do. Of course I do. I feel like it's a no-brainer for me because I think, well, I have kids and I care about the future of the planet, and I want to do everything I possibly can to reduce my environmental footprint. Plus, it's a great car. It is affordable.
What do you have?
Okay, apologies to the Tesla aficionados here. I drive a bottom of the line, completely undecked out Chevy Bolt.
Elon Musk has suggested that the Cybertruck may actually have a feature of floating in a body of water. He replied to this video that was posted on Twitter by a very talented CGI artist actually, and he said that yeah, this is possible. As a matter of fact, back in 2016 with this tweet, Elon already suggested that he was hoping someday create a sports submarine that would also be able to drive on the roads. Well, let me know in the comment section. Is this one of the features that you would enjoy in your Cybertruck? Cadillac will premiere its all-electric sedan Lyriq on August 6th. They already released a video featuring some of the interior and exterior shots of this car, and I gotta tell you guys, I was one of the few lucky people who were able to check out this car in person when GM flew me to Detroit right before the pandemic started. They let us see the future Hummer EV, the second generation Bolt, but also Lyriq was one of the cars that they let us check out, and I gotta tell you, this is probably one of the best concept cars, electric concept cars that I've ever seen. So if the final product is anywhere near to what I've seen in Detroit, this is going to be an amazing, amazing electric car. Tesla is once again under the investigation by the US National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, and this time they're looking into the multiple failures of the MCU units on the older Model S cars. If they do determine that this was indeed a design flaw and not a regular wear and tear for this particular feature, Tesla may be on the hook to reimburse all of the previous owners who have already paid for the replacement of their MCU and to pay for the future replacements, essentially making this a recall. As you probably know, I run one of the biggest Model S owner communities on Facebook, and I gotta tell you, I'm getting kind of tired of approving all this MCU failure posts, so please, Tesla, help all of us out. Elon Musk announced that September 15th will be the new day for the combined Tesla shareholder meeting and the battery day. Now, this will push the battery day pretty much by 6 months at this point, though it is definitely understandable given the pandemic and so forth. Now, it looks like this time around, it will also include the cell production system tour, which means the location probably will be in Fremont, California. Meanwhile, Electric has reported that per their sources, Tesla may surprise us with their Q2 deliveries, which may just be very, very close to the original estimates. Electrify America, the fast charging network here in the United States, has announced that they have completed their very first coast-to-coast route that will span over 11 states, 2,700 miles from Los Angeles to Washington, D.C. They've also said that their second coast-to-coast route from Los Angeles to Florida will be complete in September. Currently, Electrify America has 435 locations. That's compared to 2,000 Tesla Supercharger locations here in the US. Volkswagen ID3 deliveries have started, but don't get too excited. They are just limiting that to their own employees. As a matter of fact, there were so many employees that wanted to participate that they had to do a lottery. Now, Tesla has done something very similar with their Model 3 launch, which I think is a great idea. This way you get to work out all the kinks before the real customer deliveries start. Those real deliveries will start in September, and Volkswagen is planning to deliver about 30,000 of those kind of all at once. What can go wrong? Let me remind you that the Volkswagen ID3 will have over 300 miles of EPA equivalent range, will start at 30,000 euros, and will have up to 125 kilowatt charging, but this is not the car that we will be able to drive here in the United States. Only a couple of weeks after the Tesla Cybertruck episode of Jay Leno's Garage, Jay has decided to review the Tesla Model Y, and he did it in a very much a YouTuber style, something that you would see on this channel. It was kind of obvious that it was just him in the room and in the car, and he was switching the camera angles and so forth. So that was actually pretty cute. I mean, not as cute as this picture of a young Russian immigrant who just came to the United States and happened to meet Jay, you know, back in the day, but cute nevertheless. Now, Jay has been a supporter of the electric car movement and Tesla in particular for a long time now. When he was reviewing this Model Y, he actually called it a people's vehicle, which I thought was, you know, a very good label. He did accidentally call a motor an engine, but I'm assuming this is just a matter of a habit. And also he mentioned that the Model Y was a fully autonomous vehicle, which is, you know, we're not there yet. He did address some myths about electric cars, which he did a good job on some and not such a good job on others. But the fact that he addressed it was very much appreciated. For example, his analogy for the electric car and green energy subsidies was right on the money. He was essentially saying like, hey, listen, I don't really watch sports, but as a citizen of this particular city, I do subsidize stadiums and I don't really have children. And yet my property taxes go to schools. Now, I got to tell you, as good of an argument as that was, I would still probably go with the, you know, oil company subsidies. But either way, I thought it was a really good video, and it's great to have Jay in our corner. Thank you to all of you who are supporting me on Patreon. If you want to become a part of my Patreon community, please go to patreon.com/e4electric. I also put that link in the description of this video. Looking forward to all of your comments. Other than that, see you guys next time, and remember to stay charged.